Pause, breathe, reflect, and start again. There's something about this time of year that makes people go funny. Yeah, it might be in the air, or it might simply be the fact that we are approaching an end of the year with a brand new waiting around the corner. Journalists call it the silly season or cucumber time, when nothing new happens and even serious criminals lie low. It is time to stop and pause, to look back and reflect on another year in your life, to breathe deeply and to be grateful for blessings and challenges that made you stronger, wiser, and of course more resilient. It is also a time for spring cleaning. We all believe in the necessary clean-up action, but getting stuck into doing it, man, that is another story. Why? Because it requires not only time and energy, but also getting rid of beloved items and habits that have reached their sell-by date. Although many people leave spring cleaning for the new year, I believe that it is far better to do it now, before we take leave of the old year, because it is part of the breathing process so necessary for revival. Part of spring cleaning is reflection. Yes, when we reflect on something, we think back or consider wisely. This should never be a rushed action, and it is wise to do it after deep breathing in the right frame of mind. Now, the origin of the word in Latin is reflectu, which means to bend, to turn back, and to give way. Now, this triggered me to reflect on one of the most powerful lessons I have learned in the past year. Because I believe that a plant that has stopped growing is busy dying, and learning is a vital part of growing. I ask myself at the end of every year, what have I learned in the past year? And boy, was I surprised at my list. I learned that life's meaning is derived from small things, small moments, small happenings, sudden insights. I learned what I have learned every year, that people are more important than things or achievements. That relationships are still my number one priority. And that God's economy works differently to man's, without logic and rational planning. That miracles happen, and that my challenge is to sharpen my senses to spot them. And that love still conquers the world. That joy is possible despite pain, war, and hardship. And that it is possible to manage our emotions and our thoughts. And so I could go on. The question that flows from this one is, what should I be unlearning in order to grow? What? And I learned this lesson literally the hard way. It happened when I did some research into resilience. Now, my go-to idea of being strong and resilient was that one had to be hard, resolute, made of steel, unbreakable, until I was introduced to the concept of the porcelain cup and the tennis ball. I learned that a beautiful porcelain cup baked at a high temperature to be hard enough to contain boiling water without cracking breaks. If I take this cup, I've broken it already, but before it was broken, it was hard. But when it hit the concrete floor, it broke. Can you see? it is broken. Now, if we look at a rubber ball, on the other hand, it is soft, isn't it? And pliable. And when you bounce it, it hits back. Can you see? It hits back. It hits back. So what is the lesson? The lesson to unlearn, that's right, that heart does not mean strong or resilient. It is simply dumb to be hard and unbending. And this brings me to the Latin origin of reflecting. To be able to bend and give way is to be clever, wise, strong and resilient. You see, this insight has changed my thinking in the past year, and I'm happy to say that sharing this message has touched other lives as well. Now, earlier this year, I addressed a group of teenagers in Namibia. And in the back of the hall, I caught the eye of a very serious young man. And after my talk, I asked him what he had learned. Tannie, he said, I have been a cup all my life, and I keep on breaking. Today I have realized that it is time to become a ball, because I don't want to break anymore. I want to bounce. Have you listed the lessons that you have learned this year? Remember, we are all on a journey, and no two people are at the same place at the same time. Our personalities and our circumstances are different, and life throws each of us a series of straight and curved balls. And some of us are good catchers, others are better at batting, but none of us can predict our challenges before they hit us. We cannot control what happens to us and our loved ones, but we can learn to manage our reactions to our circumstances. Now, taking stock of where we are and reflecting on our immediate past could help us in many ways. And please note, I say immediate past, as in the past year, not the past. Because the past is history, we need to leave it behind. We cannot change it, and we should never allow ourselves to become trapped in it. But reflecting on your immediate past before you sweep it into the archives would be like sweeping a room. You might just find a lost earring, discover new skills you have picked up, and be grateful for new friends you have made. But if you have invested in a good new broom, you will also identify the garbage and dust that has gathered in your life and sweep that out of your life's room. And what a wonderful cleaning exercise this could be. Yes, sometimes we cling to old habits, often unhealthy habits, that have stopped serving us a long time ago, like dresses and coats we haven't worn for years that only clutter our cupboards. They could have been habits that helped us survive years ago, but we no longer need them because we are no longer in survival mode. Instead, we are in growing and thriving mode, destined to travel lighter, ready for simpler and easier lives. Just as we could be dragging old baggage along, storing up junk we have no use for, we should be questioning our thought processes and even the people that fill up our lives. Yes. Now this might sound very harsh, but I believe that we should also spring clean our friendships. There is an old saying that one gathers some friends for a reason, others for a season, and true friends for a lifetime. That is part of human interaction and growth. If this makes you frown, remember that you could fall into any of those categories yourself. Anyone could have befriended you for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Now let's look at friends for a reason. Those you make to learn or achieve something or to reach a short-term goal. Study buddies could fall into this category. You might have motivated one another, but the day you graduated, you accepted that your lives will grow apart. Now, friends for a season are those you relate to during a time of your life when you share specific hobbies or interests. When the season of your life changes, you might choose to move on. I think back with great fondness to my friends in the mission field and those who shared my days in corporate life. But those were seasons that came to an end. It doesn't mean that we are no longer friends, but when life takes its course, one makes new choices about where and with whom you spend your time. And then we come to friends for a lifetime. They are those people with whom you have a heart connection. And if you are lucky, some of your family members fall also into this category. But heart friends, as I call them, stay in your heart and in your mind. You could lose contact with them for years. And then one day reconnect only to pick up where you have left off years ago. They are the ones you phone when you go through hardship or experience deep joy. I now have a fun challenge for each of you. Imagine that you have just relocated to another planet, cleaner, safer, better functioning than planet Earth. With clean energy, no load shedding, and roads without potholes. There is a free, fast train connection between the planets, and it is up to you to invite all your favorite people to your new planet. Who would you include and who not? When people, even loved ones, are bad for you, you could spring clean them out of your heart. Yes. In some cases, particularly when it comes to family members, you cannot edit them out of your life, but you can decide who has honorary membership of your club and who have limited visiting hours. And by the way, this could include dear people who have passed on that you miss dearly. Your relationship with them only dies the day you die. They will always be in your heart and mind. And you know what? That is okay. So, go out there and clean out your friendships. Make sure to identify your friends for a lifetime and phone them. Life is short. Don't neglect to thank those who have contributed to your growth and happiness. And visit old friends and loved ones while you can. Rekindle friendships that would add to your quality of life. So another question I ask myself regularly is, what makes me happy and what not? Yeah, one shouldn't think too much when you answer this question, of course. It should come from your gut. List activities you like, for example, spending time with people I love, meeting up with old friends, having fun. Elaborate on what that means to you. Laughing out loud, listening to music you love or making music. Stay in bed with a good book to read. Doing exercises, going for a walk in nature, swimming or playing a specific sport, maybe learning a new skill. Make this list in your journal and leave a page open to add to the list as you remember more things. Now look back on the year and ask yourself how much time you have spent on any of these activities. Highlight those that have been sadly neglected and make a practical plan to incorporate them into your New Year schedule. Now list the activities that make you unhappy. Now this list is a little bit more complicated. Often daily chores like admin, paying bills or cleaning up is a challenge. If you are in a position to outsource these jobs, go for it. It normally means that you would need to pay someone to do it, of course. If you hate the activity enough, it may encourage you to earn more money to afford an agent. If not, try to go for counseling to change your attitude about washing dishes. But do not neglect the hate list. You might find the reason for feeling so depressed or negative. If you hate your job, your spring cleaning thought process might encourage you to start job hunting. Change is not something we embrace automatically, but it is part of growth and in some cases even part of survival. We all know Darwin's theory that it is not the strongest or cleverest people who survive, but those best adapted to change. And change always starts with our thought process. When you wake up in the morning, your thoughts wake up with you. They determine the quality of your day. If you are not aware of your thoughts and emotions, and if you haven't thought yourself, or rather taught yourself to take them captive, as the Bible says, they will run away with you. Try it. Go to bed with a negative or a problem thought, and you can be so sure to wake up with it in the morning. Before the last sip of your morning coffee, you have bumped that very problem back into your subconscious mind, coloring your day a dark and miserable grey. Just as our thoughts can make us sick, they can also heal us. So how do you get out of the rut of problem thinking? How do you do that? That's right. By stopping, pausing, breathing and reflecting. By spelling out the problem, the emotions and thoughts it triggers in you, and by telling yourself, I am not a victim of my circumstances. My problem is the problem. I am not the problem. I will not let it defeat me. And once you have given your problem a name, you can find help, often by phoning a heart friend or a wise colleague. We also have to face one of our daily thought enemies. Worry. Yes. The survival purpose of worry is to make us aware of something that needs our attention. But when it becomes chronic and a way of thinking and acting, it saps our energy and life forces, leaving us physically and mentally drained and ill. I would like to highlight 3 main categories of worry with suggested antidotes. Worry about something in the future, a physical or emotional test for you that you have to face. This could be a fear of facing a different task or an intimidating person. Deal with this by identifying the worst possible outcomes and then accept that it will not be the end of the world if this should happen. Number 2, worry about things we have no control over, like rising petrol prices or rain on your daughter's wedding day. However, the worst worry in this category is to fear other people's opinion. You see, one keeps this kind of worry at bay by accepting the fact that you cannot control the outcome. Accept that. And then by surrendering. Number 3, what if worrying can paralyze us? Ask yourself, what are the chances that this will happen? Google this topic and see how ridiculous you are. Then follow Mark Twain's advice. Beautiful advice. Drag your thoughts away from your worries. Now this boils down to analyzing your thought process and to replace emotional thinking with rational thinking. In our spring cleaning action, once we have unpacked our thought cupboard, the next cupboard that needs cleaning out is the one where we hang the words we use. Man, these are the things we easily tell ourselves, but that we would never say to our best friends. You see, your subconscious mind is not your friend. He is your slave and servant who does exactly what you tell him to do. And if you keep telling yourself that you are bad with money, not disciplined enough to get fit or lose weight, bad at relationships, not a good mother, or whatever other mean label you used to punish yourself with, you can be sure that your subconscious will make it come true. The saying that we speak life or death with our words is not a airy-fairy truth. It is a powerful message that could keep you in a rut or could help you to get out of it to thrive. Science has proven that people, ordinary people like you and me, can renew and can rewire their brains. Now this process starts with the rewiring of your thoughts. Just as we can harm ourselves with our thought process, man, we can heal ourselves with practice. When we renew our thoughts, miracles happen. We have to realize and acknowledge the power of words. When we decide to dip our words in honey, life becomes sweeter at the flip. At the flip of a brain switch. Healing words heal people. What we say affects us, but also those around us. Words can encourage Words can affirm and can give confidence. It can also change lives. We can literally double our joy by using the right words. Years ago, someone offended and disappointed me. Yes, and I decided to forgive him for my own sake. I wanted to protect my heart against bitterness, and I reaped the benefits. From time to time, those who witnessed the event would ask me about it. I experienced how talking about it was reopening the wound. And I decided to answer as follows. I appreciate your caring, but I prefer not to talk about it anymore, but to move on. You see, the words we use go straight back to our ears, our subconscious mind, and the ears of others. They end up in our souls where they sprout either joy or pain. We choose whether we want to pass on the pain or the wisdom we gained from the experience. The good life doesn't start when our circumstances change. No, to the contrary. It starts when we change our attitude, our thoughts, and of course our vocabulary. Ever heard of an attitude of gratitude? Man, there is nothing as powerful to effect a change in your life. Start cultivating the habit of listening 3 good things that happened during the day and write them in your journal before you go to sleep. You will soon find that you can be grateful even for hardships and challenges. Because they help you grow muscles to jump over a wall. Spring cleaning my own mind is for me the first step towards growth. But where to start? I reflect on my gifts and talents. And then I ask myself where I have neglected them and where I have put them to good use. I challenge myself to spot moments of cowardice or where I have overlooked God's undeserved love and grace in my life. And then, of course, I believe in the painful truth of confronting oneself with your lack of self-control. Bitterness is another toxic habit that one has to acknowledge. Maya Angelou maintains that bitterness is like cancer. It devours its host. We might give it a range of other names by calling it disappointment or a hurt caused by someone else, but in essence, these are all guises of bitterness. If you allow them to take root, they can swab your heart and mind like a fungus. If you want peace and joy in your life, or in our lives, if we want it, we have to eradicate this poisonous plant. I do my mind spring cleaning by asking God to enlighten me about beliefs and thoughts that need to be pruned or uprooted completely. This is, of course, not an easy task. Choose to get up every day and bless your day. Why? Because you are alive. Don't base it on what you have, but only because you are. Remind yourself constantly that this day, this moment, will never ever come again. This thought should remove every bitter taste in your head. It will make you see the present with great attitude. Man, gratitude is a building block without which we cannot appreciate life. Studies have shown that grateful people have certain character traits. Yes, they have more empathy and can forgive others and themselves. They tend to have a positive outlook on life. They are less jealous, less materialistic and selfish. And they have healthier self-esteems, and they are more successful in their relationships. They sleep better and they live longer. If gratitude had been available in pill form, it would have been a wonder cure. And this is why it is high up on God's list of prescriptions. If you battle to change your mindset, ask a good friend to hold up a mirror for you in order to check your spiritual growth. Then challenge one another to monitor your change in attitude to people and life's challenges. And then start where you are. The writer and philosopher C.S. Lewis said, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are. And then you can change the ending." Starting where you are means taking stock of yourself and your situation, and of course redefining your road ahead. Now, one of the buzz phrases I hear regularly in these days is the challenge to redefine yourself. Now, I ask myself, what exactly redefining myself means? And this is where C.S. Lewis's quote comes in very handy. Start where you are. Forget for a while what you have lost and what you fear you might still lose. Forget about that. Instead, list what you have in health, in skills, in people, and any other resources. And think back to past challenges and how you have conquered them. Try to distill from this process your values and your own inner strengths. And then after you've done that, it is very important, and ask yourself what you have learned from these days and what you could still learn from people and problems. Then remind yourself of the age-old challenge to change the things you can change, accept what you cannot change, and find the serenity and wisdom to know the difference. Now that, I am sure, is how you redefine yourself and influence a different ending to any challenging time. Don't let this year be like last year. We easily laugh at the well-known definition of insanity without applying the truth to our own circumstances. Insanity is doing the same things over and over, expecting a different outcome or a result. Time and lack of it is the perennial challenge. Be honest with yourself. Growth, personal growth, but also growing your business has become a luxury you do not even think of. One way of challenging this mindset is to take the next 2 weeks to observe your actions and use your time. Write down in your diary every day exactly what you do each hour of the day. Now try to spot patterns in your day and ask yourself which jobs could be delegated to free you for growth tasks. Now this is no easy mind shift, because it might require that you stop doing what you are good at. You see, reformulating the insanity definition could result in honestly asking yourself the following questions. Did I grow in the past year, or did I merely survive? What have I done differently in the last year, or what did I neglect to do? Have I do everything in the same way? Can I expect to have a different result at the end of this year? You see, researchers have found that when a person rises his standards, his brain finds a way to climb the mountain. It all boils down to an inner game of reframing your mind. If 2022 was just another survival year, don't allow the next year to be the same. Raise your standards, challenge your commitment, and change your habits through tiny actions in order to move forward. This lens you use for the future is colored by your recent past. If it is dark, you will be coloring your future in clouds of darkness, even if the sun shines brightly. Stopping, pausing, breathing, and reflecting will help you to change your thoughts. Yes, this will add all the colors of the rainbow to your new year for a fresh, new start. May you have an awesome life of overflow.